5:54 in the morning. Two A-10 Thunderbolt IIs are holding a surveillance orbit at 15,000 feet over the southern shipping lane of the Strait of Hormuz. A U.S. Navy MQ-9 Reaper is watching two fast-moving surface contacts leave Qeshm Island. Those contacts are accelerating toward a million-barrel tanker. And CENTCOM has already cleared the A-10s to engage. No radio hail required, no warning shots, no waiting for hostile action. In the next 15 minutes, both Iranian vessels will be at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Today, we're breaking down exactly how that happened and why it matters. To understand this engagement, you need the context of the 24 hours that preceded it. The day before, IRGC Navy fast boats had seized two crude tankers in the strait, the Liberia-flagged Epimenides and the Panama-flagged MSC Francesca. Iranian craft approached at high speed, fired warning bursts across the bows, deployed armed boarding teams, cut the VHF radios, and steered both ships into Iranian territorial waters near Bandar Abbas. Both masters were given no chance to comply. Both vessels dropped off public AIS tracking within 40 minutes. That same morning, two more vessels, both carrying Indian crews, were fired upon. CENTCOM's response was swift and structural. They issued a revised Rules of Engagement directive to all naval and air assets operating in the strait. The key change, the standing requirement to demonstrate hostile intent, was removed. Under the new ROE, any IRGC Navy vessel operating in the international shipping lanes was a valid target. Presence in the lane was now sufficient. No warning, no hail, no non-lethal disabling fire required. That is the legal and operational framework GAU-8 and GAU-8 were operating under when the Reaper passed the target designation. The MQ-9's full-motion video feed had picked up two surface contacts departing Qeshm Island, both running at approximately 38 knots, bearing 230 degrees, on an intercept course with a Marshall Islands-flagged Suezmax crude tanker transiting outbound through the westbound traffic lane. The tanker was carrying approximately 1 million barrels of Qatari condensate. She had filed a routine position report 7 minutes earlier. The master had not yet detected the threat. The intelligence officer at the Combined Air Operations Center, Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, identified the contacts from hull length, superstructure profile, and weapons outline. The assessment: IRGC Navy Peykaap 3 missile boats, each approximately 55 feet long, each capable of carrying Nasser-1 short-range anti-ship missiles. The airborne battle manager aboard an E-3 Sentry AWACS over Saudi Arabia cleared the section to engage. Let's talk about what GAU-8 was carrying, because the loadout matters. The A-10C had a mixed configuration typical for maritime interdiction. Two AGM-65L laser-guided Maverick missiles, precision standoff, 125-pound shaped charge warhead, a 7-round LAU-131 rocket pod loaded with APKWS, Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System, essentially laser-guided 2.75-inch rockets, and a full internal magazine of 174 rounds of 30mm ammunition for the GAU-8 Avenger rotary cannon, a mix of PGU-14B depleted uranium armor-piercing and PGU-13B high-explosive incendiary rounds. The targeting pod, a Lockheed Martin Sniper XR, centerline mounted. This is what provides the laser designation for the Maverick and gives the pilot a real-time eyes-on capability from altitude. GAU-8 rolls in first. The pilot designates the trailing IRGC boat with the sniper pod and executes a wheel and drop pattern, a descending approach from 15,000 feet in a shallow 30-degree dive. At 4.2 nautical miles slant range, he releases the AGM-65L. The Maverick's laser seeker locks onto the energy reflected off the target by the sniper pod and flies a direct terminal trajectory. No human input required from that point. The 125-pound shaped charge warhead strikes the Peykaap's thin fiberglass hull amidships and triggers a secondary detonation, almost certainly a stored munition cooking off. The MQ-9 overhead records the entire sequence. The vessel disintegrates above the waterline. Burning debris scatters across a 300-foot radius. The wake terminates. The hull breaks in two and goes down within 20 seconds. Now the tactical picture shifts. The lead IRGC boat, having just watched its wingman get erased, alters course hard to port and accelerates to an estimated 45 knots directly toward the tanker's bow. Distance to the tanker, 1.1 nautical miles and closing fast. HOG-21 expends his second Maverick on this target. The missile fails to track through the boat's tight evasive turn. Impact: empty water, approximately 200 feet astern of the contact. The pilot calls the miss. He resets for a gun pass. This is where the A-10 does what no other aircraft in the U.S. inventory can replicate quite the same way. HOG-21 reverses the pattern, descends to 4,500 feet, and enters a strafing run from the boat's port quarter. The targeting pipper settles on the Peykaap superstructure. 2 seconds on the trigger. The GAU-8A fires approximately 130 rounds at a cyclic rate of 3,900 rounds per minute. At 3,800 feet slant range, the dispersion cone covers the target boat's full length and width. The rounds shred the engine compartment, the crew compartment, and the missile rails. A fire flashes across the hull, almost immediately followed by a secondary explosion consistent with fuel tank ignition. The boat loses headway, lists sharply to starboard. Sinks within 90 seconds. HOG-22, holding at 14,000 feet throughout the engagement, overflies the site for battle damage assessment. The MQ-9 continues to orbit and records no survivors in the water. The tanker, now aware of the engagement through emergency broadcasts on Channel 16, increases speed to her maximum sustained 14 knots, alters course slightly south, and continues her transit. Total time from initial target designation to confirmed destruction of the second vessel, approximately 15 minutes. 3 things about this engagement are worth understanding at a deeper level. First, endurance. The A-10 had been on station for over 3 hours before that target designation came in. That kind of persistent overwatch is simply not replicable by a 4th or 5th generation fast jet without multiple tanker cycles and the logistical chain that comes with them. In a choke point interdiction mission, time on station is the decisive variable, and the A-10 wins that argument. Second, the gun. The GAU-8 is over 50 years old. It doesn't matter. Against lightly armored, unarmored, or fiberglass-hulled fast attack craft, the combination of round mass, muzzle velocity, and dispersion creates a kill probability that a comparably priced guided munition cannot match. At the cost per shot level, the cannon is brutally efficient for this target set. Third, the threat environment. The A-10 is operating here only because Iranian layered air defenses have been substantially degraded during Operation Epic Fury. Before the campaign opened, any A-10 over the strait would have been vulnerable to the Bavar 373 and third-tier Cordad systems. Those were either destroyed in the first 72 hours or have failed to reconstitute command and control following the decapitation strikes on senior IRGC and air defense leadership. Without that suppression, this mission set doesn't exist. The Strait of Hormuz carries roughly 20% of the world's seaborne oil and 20% of global LNG under normal conditions. Since Operation Epic Fury began, transit volume has dropped approximately 70%. The mission of the 75th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron is to keep that remaining 30%, primarily Western-flagged or Western-chartered vessels, moving through the waterway. The IRGC Navy is still operating. Decentralized now, local commanders making calls without the coordination and escalation control that existed before the campaign. CENTCOM's cumulative figures suggest between 2 and 4 IRGC vessels are being destroyed every 24 hours under the revised ROE. The A-10 was designed for low altitude, high persistence, close attack against small, dispersed, unarmored targets. The only thing that's changed is that those targets are now maneuvering on water rather than ground. If you want a deeper breakdown of the ROE revision and how CENTCOM is managing escalation in the Strait, that's the next video. Like and subscribe so you don't miss it.